So what a journey has been, right? So it's already been, today's going to be day 6. So just to recap what we've kind of talked about from day 1 all the way to today. So we've talked about mindset, we've talked about branding, marketing, sales, and today we're talking about systems. And tomorrow we're going to talk about team, right? So which are 2 of the main elements. So systems and team is usually what most big businesses or businesses, I should say, that have grown past a certain amount of sales and also clients are always in need of. But I would say that everyone needs systems. And at day 1 in your business, you need systems, right? And day 2 in your business, I think you need to hire someone because again, you do want to do that in order to have your scalability grow even further, right? That was one of my biggest challenges when I first came out, as an entrepreneur from being a corporate employee or from working on a big corporation. I'm like, I have to do it all on my own. And it's not fun. In the beginning, I understand that you have to do that because of the income that you don't always have in your business or the cash flow. So you don't always have the luxury of investing to hire someone, right? But you can do systems, which is why systems, I think, is really important in the business. On chapter 7, you're in the book, Purpose-Driven Entrepreneurship. You have your book in front of you. We're talking about chapter 7. So systems in your business set you free. And I really do believe that because anything that you can put a system around, it will free up your time and energy, right? So that someone else can do it or a system can take care of it. And the more you grow, you're going to realize that you want to pay attention to the things that are recurring in your business so that you can know, do I need to invest in a certain platform? Do I need to invest in a certain tool in the business? Or do I need to invest in a team member? So those would be, I have 3 main systems that I talked about in the chapter that I think are really important in your business, which are always really recurring based on kind of how we have connected everything from all these days of content that, you have been part of. So one of the main systems is recurring conversations. Remember what we said, I think I said this on day 2, that the meat of any business is really your audience, your network, the people that know you, the relationships that you're building. But obviously, the bigger your business or the more you grow your business, the more conversations you need to have some systems around to manage, right? Everything needs to be managed. Because of course, welcome back, Sarah. Because of course, without the management of things, then you're just gonna have a lot of things happening, but you might not necessarily know how to go about it, right? So I would say one of the main systems in a business that you need to implement is recurring conversations, right? How do you come up with systems that make sense for you and are going to evolve over time? And when I say systems, don't get afraid. It's like, oh my God, like sounds like a big, thing, but this is a process of evolvement. So what I mean by processing conversations is maybe at the beginning, you would start tracking your conversations as simple as maybe a notebook or as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, right? So we're starting simple, depending on where you are in your phase and stage. Some of you might be more advanced. You already might have a CRM, right? You might have a client management tracking system, which you have a thing set up in there for your conversations. And then eventually when you have your team, they can also help you with all of that, right? So doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter where you are in your journey. But what matters is that eventually you do want to create systems, because remember those marketing statistics that I talked about in day 3, I believe we talked about marketing after branding. So, you do need to have a lot of conversations, right, in order to get to your specific results. Because we said, right, out of 100 people, maybe just 10% will respond back to you, right? So you do need to contact 100 people. You can't just contact 5, 10 people and just rely on, any outcome from those relationships, right? So you need volume and you need follow-ups with conversations, right? Volume and follow-up. And of course, as the more you do it, the more you get I think you get more strategic and you get more focused on quality, right? And really understanding, even though you do need the volume, who is it that you are, you need to build meaningful relationships as you clarify also who is your ideal audience along the way. There's going to be some trial and error. There's going to be some relationships that maybe you try to build or filter through the process that might not be the most ideal, right? But unless you go through that growing pain, then you're just not going to know who are the exact demographic, I guess, of the quality person that you want to really build a meaningful long-term relationship. Because we talked about long-term vision and mission and how this is a long-term game. This is not something that you do once and you forget about it, right? So that's why you want to do that. So recurring conversations is definitely one of them. The other one is recurring events. So remember, I talked about touch points and building meaningful relationships. Events are another great way. You can call it a system. You can call it something you always do in the business, but you have to always have events happening, whether it's a workshop you're teaching, whether it's a, I don't know, your show that you do every week, whether it's your recurring content that you do every week. Like, you have to have events built in the business so that it really builds the know, like, and trust even faster. It's another touch point in the business that you constantly have happening month to month to month to month. It's not something that you want to do, just like a big event at the end of the year. Those are great, right? If that's a strategy, depending what you do. But having recurring events in the business every month is also something that you want to take a look at. So besides recurring conversations, you also want to set up recurring events in the business, because it's really ways for people to build trust faster with you. And then the other one is recurring tasks. So looking at your day-to-day operations, whatever you do day-to-day, we talked about sort of like keeping the business doors open, right? And not going into and thinking of your online business just like a local business. You keep the door open, you gotta, stay open 9 to 5, whatever your time is, right? So that clients or customers can find you. Usually I had to wean away the word customers with local businesses because, they call their clients or customers, but online is more clients, right? When you're providing a service professionally, I guess, you speak more of your clients, but it's the same way. When you have recurring tasks and you have your local business doors open, if you pay attention, you're always probably repeating certain things all the time, right? You got to open the door, maybe you have a cashier, maybe you have someone at the register, maybe that person, asks people for help, in your territory, right? So there's the recurring activities that are always happening in there. And it's the same with your online business. There's a recurring task that you are working on. And the bigger the business, the more you grow the business, the more you want to pay attention to the recurring tasks that are always happening for 2 reasons. First of all, because you want to really understand where your time is going and what is it that you need to take from those recurring tasks that if you remove yourself, someone else could do, which is, what you want to look for, delegation. But unless you are aware of what's happening always continuously and what's important that needs to always happen, then you don't have enough information or knowledge to delegate it out to someone else. So you do have to have that awareness first on your own. And then so you can find out, again, whether you need to buy a tool or you need to invest in a team member, right? Because usually those are the 2 things that, there's always available for things that you constantly need, right? You either invest in something that's going to help you, that's more automated, or if it's a thing that you constantly have, going on, then maybe you need to hire someone that can help you with that, right? So that you could free up more time to work on growing the business, bringing in more clients, right? Do the sales and marketing more, especially the beginning. In the beginning, your job description is really sales and marketing. I always say, right? Because you need clients, you need to bring in clients. But then eventually, once you set the systems and you have the clients and you build the base, then you can, be more the visionary, be the person that's going to drive the company forwards, look at the newer things you're focusing on, the newer projects you want to push forward and all of that. I always say business for me, entrepreneurship is a bunch of projects you're moving forward. Some of them fail, some of them move forward. I don't want to use the word fail, but some of them don't go anywhere. Some of them are learning opportunities, because remember, we talked about testing. Some of them you're testing, some of them are not going to, be ideally the right thing at the right time, because you don't know. You're always, you're always moving things forward, right? So that is one main thing. But when it comes to recurring tasks, another great thing is that when you start to get people under you and you have a team, then of course you have a process that you can teach other people. Right? I don't know if you've heard of SOPs or standard operating procedures, but everything that's recurring and it's a really important task in the business, you can create a process around it, which is an SOP, and you can teach it to someone else, and that someone else can repeat it. Right? So that's the only way that you will move away from you being the only person in the business and be tied to everything that you're doing, and then trading your business for a 24/7 job, right? A self-employed job, a job that you make your own hours, but you're still self-employed because you're going to be tied to the business unless all of these other things happen, right? So that's kind of, what you want to think about when it comes to recurring tasks. So looking at the things that you can delegate out to other people and creating standard operating procedures for people. The other thing is with the recurring task, all of these is, again, you as the visionary need to have the knowledge, because a lot of times if you don't have the awareness, that's why this is why I do this work I do, because I want business owners, entrepreneurs to have the bigger picture of what they need, and then they're filling in the gaps. Because unless you know what you need, how do you know, how to bring in the right person, what to give them moving forward, what are some of the metrics they need to push for you or help you with or support you with. If you don't have that awareness and knowledge, everyone that you bring on, you might even bring different positions that you might not even need. You might bring in contractors that you might not even need because you don't even know exactly what you need yourself. So I think it's important that you have this awareness and knowledge so that you know exactly who to bring on board. That of course is giving you a return on your investment eventually, down the line, and it's working on those right priorities in the business moving forward. So that's why it's important to really have that. But when it comes to anything in business, building a brand is about volume, right? It's about volume. And eventually this volume turns into, the more you have those things in place, the more the volume becomes quality, right? And you really are finding systems to do things more efficiently. That's really, what happens as the business grows. Yeah, no problem, Sarah. Let me know, by the way, just like a pulse check again, am I losing you with the system side? Like, is this making sense to you? Just let me know in the chat if this is making sense to you so far. Awesome. All right, good. Sometimes I lose people at this stage with systems. That's why I have to kind of like bring it down sometimes, because it's not a sexy word, even though it starts with S. But for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like marketing and sales. Okay, great, Devani. Thank you so much. Devani, stay behind when I finish the workshop. I would love to connect with you. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's for a lot of people, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, why do I need this? And it's it brings up some uncertainty when it comes to systems, but systems is really, again, just the day-to-day things you're doing in the business as well. And what is it that you can improve along the way? So it's not like a foreign thing you're doing. It's probably you're already doing it. You just might not even have the awareness in the business that you're actually doing that. So I would say those would be some of the three main systems that you constantly have they need in the business, at all times. So that's why, you see a lot of service providers, they have to put themselves out there, right? Have to, or get to, I should say. I don't want to say they have to, because nothing would do, if you're in this something that you don't love to do and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to, is always going to be a problem, right? So I'm not saying that, you're going to feel like it daily, but at least have fun with what you do. I think that's really an important part with anything else. So I would say that those are some of the main things that you constantly need to have. And as far, when it comes to the conversations part, I think that's one of the biggest one, which is such a big challenge for most people, because again, I could take a look at any business and measure the quality of the conversations or how the volume of conversations they're having. And that's usually where you find the lack of results or lack of clients. Because again, a lot of, entrepreneurs might not have the awareness that, there's statistics to this. Sometimes, it's connected to numbers, like however many people you speak to. Obviously, you'll have a higher chance of finding the person, as we said on day 2 or 3 with marketing, that is looking for what you have at a moment in time, right? So through the process of conversations, you constantly want to do that. So just dialing back through conversations again, you want to have daily conversations on your calendar, daily meetings, daily conversations with people, daily calls with people that you are constantly, plugging in your calendars. It's not something, it's just like, again, a local business. You open the door and you daily have clients or customers walking in your store that you need to have conversations with. You need to help them see what they build relationships with them, see what, what is it they're looking for, why are they coming in the store, right? I mean, if you have shoes, bags, I don't know, or dresses, right? In the store, you're like, okay, you're looking for shoes today. Are you looking for dresses? Are you looking for bags? So all of this is built in, your day-to-day conversations. But when it comes to being an online entrepreneur, we have to be the ones that are intentionally setting all of this in our calendar. Otherwise, who is walking into our virtual world unless we plan ahead, right? So it's the same way. There's got to be constant things happening, so that you have that the momentum that you need to be building with conversations, and also a way to track it, because there'll be a lot of people, right, that you're speaking to. So you need a good system to track that conversation. And they always say, you probably have heard it, the fortune is in the follow-up, right? So you want to follow up with people, because in order to build trust, it's not enough that you just kind of met them once, and then again, you kind of just don't have a system for what was the next step out of that conversation. And then they kind of just like stay in your social media for 5 years, and then you're like, okay, I don't, there's no follow-up. So that's why there's got to be certain things that happen in the business. And honestly, the bigger my company grows, that's where always my focus is. How is the audience growing, and how is it that we are focusing on the quality of our conversations, setting up more events in the business that are recurring. And then, of course, I'm always looking at tasks, and I've trained my team to do the same thing, to kind of take a look at things that improve the processes, right? Because again, that's kind of what it takes to build a lean company, but also a company that is always growing, but it's also performing, right, efficiently. And that's why, mindset wise, we talked about that in day 1, that you're like, well, I don't know if whatever that conversation is I'm having now might be eventually be monetized, or, someone might sign up as a client 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the line. And you don't know that, but you do need to have a system for predictability. The other great thing about having systems in place is that you know how to problem solve. If you don't have systems in place and things you're not getting the results you want, then you don't even know where to start. You don't even know what the problem is. But if you have things in place, you're like, okay, so this nurture of conversations is bringing me this specific results, so to speak. And then you could just track back to see, where is the issue? Is it the messaging? Is it the amount of people I'm reaching, right? So you problem solve so much more intelligent, in a smart way, can't say that word today, in an intelligent way, that's what I was trying to say, when you have a system in place, because you're just not just guessing things, you're just like, maybe I should try that, maybe I should try that. No, everything in business, it's gotta go back to problem solving. And when you problem solve, I always, find it very helpful to tweak one small thing, right? If a system in your business is not working properly, you want to take a look at one or two things that you want to change, because sometimes entrepreneurs, they just kind of like throw out the baby with the bathwater and be like, this whole thing is not working. You don't want to do that. So when you problem solve, you kind of, focus your energy on the one thing or two things that you could tweak, and then you go back and test. And then you bring it back and reflect and see how it worked. Go back and test, bring it back until you process improve enough to where it's giving you the result you want. This whole journey is a big process improvement experiment. Tweaking small process improvements along the way, and everything is like that. Tweaks, small tweaks, small tweaks, small tweaks, and everything we do in our mindset, in our spiritual, in our, in our any new project that you bring to life is gonna start messy. Right? Anything new, I do, I just already know. Like if I'm gonna just bring in a new team, that's all gonna be, a whole process. It's gonna be messy at the beginning until you have some knowledge, experience, awareness, you tested some things, and then you have something to go off on, and then you take that and then you process improve it, which is why I talk about evolution of business. There's no like you just get it right the first time on anything, on nothing. So you just got to be really good with this stuff, processes, look at things and go back like a scientist and figure out sort of what happened, what can I do different next time, and make decisions out of that rather than make decisions out of out of no information. So you definitely want to bring those back, in the business as well. So math scientist hat is definitely always, needed when you're an entrepreneur. And then again, as you grow, you realize, what you're good at personally as the CEO, right? As a business owner, I'll talk more about that tomorrow, how to find the right fit team, right? Because we're not all systems and processes people, right? We're not all visionaries. We have certain talents, and most of us, I think you'll be more effective if you stay into your zone of genius, but you don't have that luxury, especially at the beginning of the business. That's why we wear so many of the hats. And I think there's a lot of value actually, because how do you know? Well, through this process, you also discover a lot about yourself. You learn some new things. And then eventually, as you grow and you're in a different position, you make a better decision about who you need to bring that's going to complement you, because now you have so much more awareness of where you need to sit that's going to bring, more value to your company. So there's a lot of that as well. Google Sheets helps me a lot in problem solving, gives me structure and clarity. Yeah, absolutely. I love Google Sheets. Google Sheets have all types of, right? So you have Google Excel sheets, you have Google Docs, right? So absolutely. So whatever your background is, right? I think sometimes if your background was not, in anything has to do with some sort of process or system, that could get a little scary. But I start everything on paper. I love to just like chat, even if I'm like trying to figure out a process or something I need to implement, I just like Google, I just doodle, so to speak. I just started on paper. So just start writing it down, clarify it, and then eventually you'll get some clarity, just like Mark-Glenn is saying that Google Sheets does it for him. You need to get clarity first, so then you can know what the next step is, which is why I talk so much about entrepreneurs need to go first. We're the business owners, we go first, we get the clarity first, and then we know how to proceed. Unless no one's gonna know. There's no one coming to save you and be like, well, I think you need that. Unless obviously you're working with a mentor and they have the knowledge, so that's the value there, right? But if you're on your own, no one's gonna look at the blind spots and guide you. So you do have to self-guide yourself, I guess, through a lot of this process as well. So awesome. So guys, let me know where you are with systems. Tell me what systems you have implemented based on what I've shared so far in the business already, or if any, or you might be at the very beginning. So let me know in the chat. So Mary-Glenn, you have a system, Google Sheets. So tell me overall, I guess 1 to 4, if it's easier in the way to answer it. Where do you think you are with this?
Can I speak on camera or by texting?
Yeah, feel free to share, Mary-Glenn.
Okay. So yeah, I use a lot of systems because actually our clients are overseas, so are in North America. We are located in Albania, so it is mandatory to have systems in place. But at the beginning, I wasn't a person like systems in place or software or writing things down. But by the passing of the time, I got to that point. And one of the things right now we have created in our company, it is like a knowledge database where we put there every task of the parts that the people do. So when we have new employees, they get trained better based on some standards and faster. And this doesn't require any like extraordinary like software, just a spreadsheet where you have the task, the name, how it is being done with examples and stuff like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing. I love that because right, when we're hiring team, which I'll talk about tomorrow, the onboarding process is important. So having steps laid out in place for people to join you, right? And what are those things that they need to kind of know to be successful and to get a head start is really important. And sometimes that's a little scary for entrepreneurs. I think that's why we have a lot of solopreneurs, because maybe that process intimidates some people, but it's all a process of development. I mean, when you do it, you realize that it's just another thing that you just kind of discover, right? And there's a journey with that. But ensuring that your employees and your team is properly onboarded is definitely really important so they can be the most effective. They can have the tools, the knowledge they need to really eventually, become an investment in your business rather than an investment on your side. But first you invest so that they can give you back their return on their investment, on your investment, right? Through the training, through the time you're putting in with them and all of that, and ensuring that you have the right people. And that's also not a very linear process. It's a journey. It's a journey of bringing in the right people. Just like with clients or prospecting, it's the same way with team, I feel. It's another journey. Like, so you have to get some bad hires, or not bad hires because that's bad people, but just not the right fits, for the company culture and what you're trying to accomplish. And I find prospecting is the same way. Sometimes you go through not the right fit client, and you serve them so that you know exactly who is your right fit client. Sometimes you go through a lot of conversations and meaningful relationships that you're trying to build along the journey. But not everyone will kind of just grow with you and the business, right? So that's why we have to look at this long term. Otherwise, there's no other way to look at it, because it takes time to grow, right? Just like anything else. So I think that's really important insight that you brought there, Mary-Glenn, with that as well. Awesome, guys. I wanted to keep it a little bit shorter today for systems because, this is more, meet you where you are, see where you kind of, it's a lot of personalized systems that people build in the business, but I just wanted to give you a bigger overview, just like with anything. I mean, how much can I share in a workshop? And I know a lot of you are at my offer. So obviously, if you're looking for private consulting that is going to really help you step by step with everything and personalize the systems, is just one of those things that you just kind of have to see where you are and kind of, give you the knowledge and build things slowly, just like anything else in the business. But your reflection question for today will be, based on the information that you heard today, out of those three main things that I talked about, so recurring conversations, recurring events, or recurring tasks, which one are you missing, and which one do you want to put more focus on, or you feel you want to put more focus on, so that you can have it as a focus activity or strategy, I guess, call it whatever you like, but system something that's really always ongoing that you want to implement for this new year. So that will be that. I will send that to you as well on Messenger, the questions, so that you can have it there. And I'll see you back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock. And tomorrow will be the last and final day. So if you have any questions at all, by the way, tomorrow I probably will do the same thing. Just take 30 minutes to talk about leadership and team, and then answer any other questions you've had, like sort of along this whole entire journey. So any questions you've had collected, or maybe even personal questions you have in your business now. So maybe I'll leave about 30 minutes and I'll just answer anything you have and just give you my experience and knowledge based on what you ask. And hopefully I think that, that will be helpful to you as well. And yeah, so tomorrow, same time, same place. Thanks again. And
Thanks so much.
I'll see you tomorrow at 12.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. And Devani, if you could just stay, I want to connect with you.